Welcome, guys, to um, 12 Months of Summer, a high-profile contractor. I was asked to do this by Pete Ramsey. Um, if you didn't catch the live show, I wanted to make sure to post it on my YouTube channel. So this is just the dry run that I'm doing before I go to the live event, which is tonight, which is Monday the 19th. So which won't matter to you because you're just watching this on YouTube. But I'm going to cover a lot of insightful subjects, stuff that I've learned, stuff that I've never taught before, that's going to hopefully really impact your business. So it's called the 12 Months of Summer, High Profile Contractor. That's the title that we came up with for my presentation. And we won't start off the presentation by talking about being high profile. However, we will get into it, so just hang tight with me. So I just want to thank Pete for allowing me to be a part of this. Very honored that he asked me to do this. There's some great trainers on this. I hope you've caught it. If not, go to Pete's YouTube channel, HVAC Greatness. I'm sure that's what it's called. Also on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, join his HVAC Greatness on Facebook. Or also, I will share this video also on my Facebook, which is HVAC Service Ready. So let's get started. Here's some of the topics we're going to cover. We're going to talk about optimization and making the most from what you currently have. This is a big subject, and I'm going to go fairly deep on it and hopefully open your eyes to some things. I know it's stuff that I certainly had no idea until I started learning this stuff. Just how much I didn't know when it came to optimizing our current situation. So we'll talk about the most underestimated position in a home service business, and that goes back to optimization. I'm going to throw in some KPIs here and there, just things to shoot for in each department. And some of it just depends on you. Like you have to make that decision being the business owner. What are you going to shoot for? Lead sources, how to make the phone ring. And we'll talk about the must-haves, which are scattered throughout the presentation, but it kind of equals some processes. Measuring and managing, once again, that's going to tie in kind of to the KPIs. And then the most important asset in your company, I want to show you, first of all, let you know what it is and then how to protect it. So let's move on. So optimization. Sorry, I need to move this phone out of my office, but optimization, it helps to know the definition of some things. So I often look things up just so I can really understand it. It's the action of making the best or most effective use of a situation or resource. So the question is, are we currently optimizing the opportunities that we already have in our business? So first contact. Who makes the first contact with the customer most of the time? Most of the time, it's going to wind up being your CSR. Your call taker, your client specialist, whatever title you give them, secretary, it's whoever answers your phone. So the question is, do you have a process for your phones? And what's actually happening on the phones? Now, we wound up going with a company called CallCap, and we imported our main telephone number over to CallCap. I know if you have some of you, if you're a little bigger and you're using the software Service Titan, like they can import your number for you too. I was on Service Titan for a short time, and I just wasn't utilizing it to the best of what it's capable of, and the cost is a lot more than some of the other providers. So I chose to get off of it and go back to another provider. And when I did that, thankfully I never imported my number over, so it's one of those things that I didn't have that headache of having to import it back. So I learned about a company called CallCap, and they just happen to be right in my backyard here in Wichita, Kansas. So we used them. We imported our main number over to them. So every time somebody calls the office number or the numbers that we select, because you can add numbers to that for different marketing pieces, it records the phone call. So we know where the call came from, and then we could just listen to it to evaluate ourselves and find out how good we're doing. But when we finally did that, here's what we found is that people would ask us, how much does it cost for a diagnostic, or how much does it cost for you guys to come out and take a look at my furnace? Well, it's $89 for us to come out and take a look at it. Would you like me to put you on the schedule? Or they may call and say, how much you guys charge for refrigerant? I need some Freon in my unit. It takes Freon every year. And we'd say, well, it's $120 a pound. Would you like us to put you on the schedule? And more times than not, they would say, well, let me talk to my husband, I'll call you back. Or let me talk to my wife and I'll call you back. Or, I talked to another company, they were only $50 to come out. So I think I might just call them back. Whatever the case, we were just answering that question right away. And that's not how we should have been going about it. Also, after hours, what was happening there? Well, we were forwarding the phones to our technicians, the on-call technician. It was just on a rotation, like most of you guys have. And when we started listening to these phone calls of people that would call over the weekend, we were hearing stuff like, the technician would say, well, I'm going to have to charge you overtime rates if you want me to come out tonight. I mean, with that tonation, that inflection and everything. And it was like they were trying to push people away because they didn't want to have to leave their home. And I get it. They didn't want to have to leave their home to go do service calls. Nobody enjoys that part of it, but the bottom line is it's just part of our business. So we're in the business of serving customers. So we have to be available, and we have to put our customers' needs ahead of our own needs. So that's why it's so important to be on call, for one thing, but it's also important to make sure that we're handling all of their needs, So also would hear things like, would you like to wait till tomorrow to save some money? Well, if they're calling and they're having an emergency situation, chances are they don't want to wait. But just because of the way that call was handled, sometimes the people would wait. Or we'd schedule them on Monday, and then we'd call them back on Monday and find out that somebody else, that they would cancel on us because they had somebody else come out and take care of it. So the same way we look at our sales, like what stops people from going ahead and doing business with us when we're estimating equipment, we had to look at on the phones, like what is stopping someone from being put on the schedule and letting us come out to diagnose their system. So number one of the top, if you want to call it an objective or objection, would be the diagnostic fee. And number two, a lot of times, is time. And time's not usually an issue unless we are extremely busy, during the busy times of year. But if we couldn't get there fast enough, they're just calling any number they can get a hold of because they just want service. So that's when we figured out, we're like, okay, well, we need some help on the phones because there's too many opportunities here that we're just not handling properly. And so we looked for a service, and this is who we found. And this name I've seen many times, like in Facebook groups of people recommending them, and it turns out to be a really great service. It was, I think, like $80 a month or something like that. We got in there for maybe 3 months, went through all the training, and then printed. They have downloadable sheets that you can download and with scripts, so you know how to handle those calls more effectively and book more of those calls. So they have, I'm just going to share with you a few of the things, the strategies that they share in there, which was tell me more. So if somebody calls and says, well, how much do you guys charge to come out and take a look at our furnace? Well, tell me more. What do you got going on? And that gets the person talking. If we can get the person talking, build some rapport, and we're going to have a much better chance of booking that call. And we have to start taking calls more seriously. So how about waiving the diagnostic fee? If you knew what your average ticket was, let's say your average ticket's $600. If you knew that every time you went out to a call, your average ticket was $600, wouldn't you waive the diagnostic fee if that was what was standing in the way between you getting out to the call, or between booking the call and then getting to go run the call versus having them call someone else? So part of that could be if you've got like a coupon on your website. Well, you could say, Mr. Smith, I tell you what, I mean, if you get that objection like, oh, $89. Well, I just was on the phone with another company and they only charged $50. I think I'll give them a call back. I just heard you guys were good, but I really need to save the money. Well, I tell you what, Mrs. Smith, if what I'm going to do here, if you'll allow me to go ahead and book the call, what I'm going to do is we have a coupon online, and I'm just going to go ahead and, I'm not even going to make you go online and print that coupon. All you need to do, really, you don't need to do anything. Instead of going to print the coupon, I want you to just, I'm just going to put a note here on your dispatch. And that way the technician, the service expert, is going to go ahead and take that off the bill. If I go ahead and do that for you, can we go ahead and book the call? And most of the time people say, oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. I really wanted you guys anyway. So the urgency list. Urgency list is a strategy, tactic, tip, whatever you want to call it, that they use for when people are when your schedule's booked up. If your schedule's booked up, then you would say, Mrs. Smith, can I put you on the urgency list? Well, it would go more like this, like, okay, Mrs. Smith, I'm not looking like I have anything free for today, but what I can do is I'm going to put you on the urgency list. So if anybody later today does cancel or reschedule with us, you're going to be the top of that list. So it's a possibility we can get to you today. If not, you're going to be at the very top of the list tomorrow. And we'll get you squeezed in sometime before Friday. I just about promise you. So, but if I put you on the urgency list, will you let me go ahead and book the call? That's the whole thing, is because we don't want to just tell them we're going to do that without getting their commitment to allowing us to get a chance to look at this. Now, you still may have some cancellations once in a while. The bottom line is we're just trying to maximize the current calls that we have. And there's many, many more strategies on Power Selling Pros. I highly recommend it. It's great service. Here's kind of the essentials of your phone call. When the phone rings, we need a greeting. We used to just say, my company's name used to be McKay's Heating and Cooling, but we changed it last November to Service HQ. But we used to just say, McKay's Heating and Cooling. And that's how we answered the phone. And then people would be like, oh, hey, hi. Well, instead of doing that, since we're Service HQ now, I would say, thank you for calling Service HQ. This is Kelly. How may I help you? That's an actual greeting, not just saying your company name. Then I'm going to show empathy. If they're saying, well, we're having a problem with our furnace and it's really cold and we'd like to have some help with it. Oh, I'm so sorry that you're having this problem. That sounds frustrating, and it is really cold. So, hey, let me get your name and number just in case we get disconnected, because I want to be I can get you back on the phone just in case something happens here. So you get their name and number. Oh, my name is Mary Smith. Okay, Mary, can I call you Mary? Sure. Okay, Mary. Well, I just want to assure you right now that, we're going to get you taken care of. So what's your address? What's your best phone number? What's your email? And then I'm going to ask any other questions. What's it doing? How old is your system? Has it given you trouble in the past? Ultimately, you don't have to put these in this exact order, but you definitely want to get the name and phone number early in the conversation. Anytime I call, I use AT&T for my cell phone. If something happens with my cell phone service and I need to call, and that's what our computers are on here also at the office. So if I have a problem, that's the first thing they say to me is, let me get your name and number in case we get disconnected. So we should be doing the same thing. So anyhow, I'm going to assure them that we're going to take care of the problem. We get the rest of the information, ask questions, ask where they heard about us. And you can just get yourself a spreadsheet. I don't know what all type of marketing stuff you have going on right now, but whatever it is, list everything, all of your marketing sources, and then ask them, where did you hear about us? And even if you don't have marketing sources going on, ask them, how did you hear about us? Was it a referral? Was it on Google? Was it Facebook? Was it Instagram? Wherever, write that down, because we need to know where our leads are coming from. Pay. It's very important. Every time I hire a service, I know and I expect to pay for it after it's done. And most people do too. You wouldn't go into a restaurant, order a steak dinner, and then decide you're not going to pay for it right now. Now you may put it on a credit card where you can pay for it later, but you still paid the restaurant. The restaurant got their money. Well, we're the same way. We have to get money at time of service. We are not a bank. So I'm going to ask them, will you be paying check, cash, or credit card? Are they an agreement holder or club membership? Whatever you sell, you got to make sure that you ask them that question. This opens the door for the technician to talk about it when he gets to the home. If they don't own one, if they do own one, then this is your opportunity to express the value. Oh, I'm so great that you have a maintenance agreement. You're going to go front of the line. I think Joe Crisera uses that, front of the line. That's an easy way for people to understand how much value that maintenance agreement has. They're going to go front of the line. So that means they're going to get service before somebody who doesn't have a maintenance agreement. And you should really honor that. If that means rescheduling a new customer, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't reschedule a brand new customer versus getting out to an agreement holder. I mean, you got to pick and choose kind of what you do, but it just depends on every situation is different. So it just depends. Then I'm going to build the value before I give the price. If they say, no, I'm not an agreement holder, but how much is it again? Okay, Mrs. Smith, well, I'm going to send a qualified technician to your home. 85 to 90% of the time, we have what we need to do the repair right there on the spot for you. And the technician is going to thoroughly diagnose the entire system. He's not there to just look at your furnace. It works as a system, so we want to look at it as a system. And we're going to do all of this, and he's going to present some options, and then you can pick which options you'd like to go with at that time. But for us to do that and send this technician out there, it's going to be $89. So at least I took the time to build a little bit of value before we went out there. That's extremely important. Then if I get a book to call, I'm going to thank them. Even if I don't get a book to call, I'm still going to thank them. Thank you so much for calling, giving us a chance. We're really grateful that you called us, and we're going to take good care of you. And then I'm going to confirm. I'll confirm the address, phone number, the time that we scheduled the appointment. And this is just a brief, I don't know what your essentials are when it comes to the phone, but you need to determine that and make sure that it's happening on every single call. So once you take the call, who gets the call? During slower periods, the person who gets the call, I think it's only fair, real quick, I'll talk about differentiation. Jack Welch, who was an extremely successful CEO with GE, he believed in differentiation. And what that is, people who go above and beyond need to be rewarded. And one of the ways they get rewarded during slow times is they get more hours than somebody who doesn't go above and beyond, somebody who doesn't follow the process, somebody who isn't a team player. So the people who get the calls are going to be the people with the best average ticket, the team players, the people who follow the process, the people who show up to win every day, the people who take ownership in the work, people whose closing rate, which is one of the KPIs to track. Same with average ticket. You should be tracking that. The closing rate, if they're a selling technician, if it gets to the point where you're offering options on equipment, what is how many times did the customer buy versus how many times did they not buy? That's your closing rate. You want somebody to get those calls who doesn't have many callbacks. That's another KPI to track. How many calls did they run this month, and how many times did we get callbacks on them? We need to know that KPI. If they're really good at turning calls into estimates on old equipment, and I'm not saying sell something to somebody they don't need. I'm saying when it makes the most sense to go ahead and talk about new equipment, that they're actually offering it and they turn that into an estimate versus just always just fixing a 27-year-old system. And it all ultimately boils down to if they communicate effectively. So the bottom line is, guys, that the person answering the phone is a crucial player on your team. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one, but I'm here to tell you there's probably more missed opportunities than you realize, especially when you get busy. It's insane how many calls we were throwing away during busy times. So, training, role playing, scripts, I highly recommend. It's the only way to get good at it and to ensure that you're hitting all those points. Just on that little short essentials list that I just shared, there's a lot of stuff to cover there, and it's easy to forget if you don't have an outline to follow. Regular evaluation. If it's not you answering the phones, even if it is you need to evaluate yourself. Am I doing this right? Did I cover everything that I wanted to cover? Here's what I really want you to listen to. Each call is precious to your business. See Gollum over here? He's got a phone in his ear. It's precious, and you have to treat it that way. Set a KPI for book calls, like how many calls you get, and you're going to have this tracked some way. So whatever service you decide to use, it's important to track. How many times did your phone ring this month? How many times did it ring last month? And you'll be able to go back in their dashboard, because most of these companies that record calls have a dashboard. You can go back in there and you can see just how many calls we had. And we pay a little extra, and they actually screen those calls for us. So if it's a booked call, then it rates on that. If it's a call that's like, our salesman calling or something to that degree, then somebody that's not like what we would call kind of like an opportunity call. If it's not an opportunity call, they're not going to rank that against us. So I pay extra for that, but it's worth it because we don't have to listen to every single call. And it sets the KPI. So right now, I think we're at like 95% booking rate, at least in July. I haven't looked at August yet, but we're doing a good job on the phone. Did we miss some of the essentials? Yes, and we're fixing that, and we're working on it. We work on this stuff every day. So when it comes to running calls, we're still talking about optimization here, guys. You got to take the blinders off. I know you've heard this 1,000 times. Make it 1,001. Take the blinders off. You got to offer options on every single call. Look at it as a system. It takes the entire system to work properly. You can wash the condenser and replace the capacitor and get the thing back up and running. But if the blower wheel's dirty or the evaporator coil's dirty or the duct is all undersized, you're not looking at the entire picture. And that's what we're talking about here. We got to look at the entire picture. We have to offer maintenance agreements on every single call. The bottom line is you don't sell what you don't tell, and you've got to express the value of a maintenance agreement. Who in here would say that maintenance agreements aren't extremely important? I think we can all agree they're extremely important. We all know that it extends the life of the equipment. We all know that the manufacturer recommends that it be serviced at least once a year. So both pieces of equipment. So we have to offer it on every single time, build the value on that, just like we would build the value with anything we sell. You got to build the value, and the value has to exceed the price before somebody can make a decision and say yes and go with it. So if you're having a trouble not selling enough maintenance agreements, or you're not booking enough calls, well, you got to build more value in it, or you're not closing enough sales, equipment sales. But I would set a KPI per preventative maintenance sales for your maintenance program. And that can be whatever it is. Like, do you want 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10? What is the KPI that you're going to set for yourself? And then hold everyone accountable to try to hit that. See where you're at. When it comes to measuring things, you got to know where you're at before you know, and then it gives you that number to improve upon, right? So if you offer other services, like we do duct cleaning, we also have, we do plumbing. So if you're going to do those things, maybe if you do electrical, whatever extra service that you provide, you got to offer it every single call. Even if you don't offer it, you got to at least have the conversation that we provide this service to the customer. So guys, here's a big thing, and you've heard this before, but I really want you to take this to heart, is that there is a divide. There's a divide between those who know and those who don't. And this is with any business. No business would exist today if there was not this divide between businesses. You know, it doesn't matter what business you talk about. If you talk about a car lot, there's a divide. You know, the people who know how to buy these cars and mark them up and sell them for a profit, and the people who don't. You know, I don't. So I'm going to go to somebody who knows what they're doing with the paperwork and the registration, all the stuff that needs to happen, title work. Like, they know that. They're the experts at that, not me. Just like if I take my car to an auto mechanic, you know, I'm going to expect to pay $400 or $500. I just expect it because they know and I don't. And that's why our business exists, is because that's what creates this divide, is we know, they don't. So when it comes to like cleaning a flame sensor, it's not about the act of cleaning the flame sensor. It is about knowing that the flame sensor needed to be cleaned because of your training, because of your daily practice at your career. You know these things, and that's what you're actually being paid for. Now, we want to do more than just clean a flame sensor. I mean, so don't get me wrong. We're not going to go in and clean a flame sensor and charge $300-$400 for it. I totally disagree with that. It goes back to the value. You got to build value while you're on the call too. Go above and beyond. Do more. Do more. You know, your flame sense cleaning should include burner cleaning, replacing the filter, and then you can charge $300-$400 for a dirty flame sensor because it includes going through the entire system. So you get what I'm saying here. We have to build the value in everything we do. So our value goes above our price. And when that happens, the customer's going to be okay with it. But if you just put clean flame sensor, found flame sensor issue, clean flame sensor, and you charge them $300, they're not going to be happy with that. Here's the reality. Up to 50% of our time in service for an HVAC company could be called unbillable. That's drive time, waiting for customers, filling out paperwork, running to supply out whatever it is, you know, running a part to go in and helping one of your other guys or whatever the case. 50% is unbillable. So I want to challenge each and every one of you today. So add a percentage to your very next installation quote or service call, and I'm going to let you determine the percentage. It doesn't matter what it is. Just add something to it. You know, for service, I would go a little higher on the percentage because we're talking smaller dollars. So add 10% to the next service call and see what happens. Maybe on your next installation quote, add 2% to it. You know, on $7,000, I don't know what 2% is, but let's find out. 7,000 times 0.02, that's $140. Add $140. If you can't sell the job over just $140 more, then if that's like really a deterrent, and don't get me wrong, once in a while that will be a deterrent for certain people, but not if you build the value once again. So post your results on the page, on Pete's Facebook page. I want to know, how much did you add and what happened? Did you meet with any, were you met with any resistance? Because here's what I know is what we charge today is probably, I don't know, 2.5 times at least what we used to charge, because as the business has grown, that's what I've needed to be able to be profitable. And even, it wasn't really even as the business grew, it was that for years we operated not making a profit. So as we've learned more and more about how to run the business and we've added these things, it required upping our price. And this is one of the first things you can do to make a huge impact in your business, is to just bill more for what you do. And remember, you're getting paid for what you know, not what you do. So on the call strategies and tips, I want to show you, we have referral cards, referral certificates. Maybe I tried that for a while. That's where somebody in the office would print out a certificate saying that we're going to give you, if you recommend us, refer us, we're going to give you, it's basically the same as a referral card. but I'm going to show you the referral cards. I don't have one right here with me. When I'm on the live call, I will. Gift cards for future purchases. It looks the same as a referral card. Basically, it's just the print is a little bit different. Business cards. It's a form of marketing that we don't take seriously enough. There's a lot of value in giving people your business card. So be sure to hand them out. Yard signs. Yard signs are a must. How cool would it be to have like a 2-block radius with that's just littered with all your yard signs? Anybody who drives through there is going to know who they should call in their neighborhood the next time they have a problem. Stickers. So stickers on the equipment. And we have stickers, stop stickers. I'll show those on the live as well. Sorry, I didn't have these with me. Excuse me. So stop stickers, which just say, don't call somebody else. You may have something under warranty. That's going to deter anybody who sees that from trying a different company. But we make sure that those stickers go on the furnace and the air conditioner on every single call. And I'll show you how we do that here in just a minute. But door hangers. So especially when you slow down a little bit, man, you can up the number of door hangers that you want put on equipment. So it might be, or on next door neighbor's house, might be either across the street or neighbors that are right next to each other. But maybe you do 2 door hangers when you're really busy, but when you slow down, maybe it's 4 or 6. They're really cheap. It's that one more touch point that you get with a potential customer. So it's highly worth it. You have the time, do it. Asking for the review. I cannot even monetize what that's worth, but you've got to get your reviews up. If you're not focused on reviews, you're losing a lot of calls, because we get calls almost every single day of people saying that I saw your reviews. That's why I'm calling you guys. So focus on reviews, focus on them. And a little tip here is you want to respond to every review, whether it's good or negative. Always respond. Google really likes that. And throw in some stuff that, if you know what you did on that call, like you sold them a maintenance agreement and you fixed their air conditioner. Okay, well, hey, Mary, thanks so much for reaching out. And thanks so much for the review. You're going to have some great service in the future as well with our maintenance plan. Since you decided to join our maintenance plan, we'll see you this fall. In the meantime, you have any other problems, just let us know. Really personalize it, and Google likes that. USP. So what can you do on your call that nobody else does? I've got many ideas in one of my programs, the Super Service and HVAC Service Ready on the website, HVAC Service Ready Super Service. Many ideas there on what we can do while we're there that's just going above and beyond. Ultimately, debriefing after every call. You need to either debrief with yourself if you're a one-man operation, or debrief with the office. Let them know what you did, and they need this checklist. They're going to ask you, did you give referral cards, referral certificates? Did you do gift cards, business card, yard signs, stickers? I mean, they need to go through this list. And anything else, did you offer a maintenance agreement? Did you tell them about our other services? You need to list everything that you want to debrief on to ensure that it's happening every time. So when it comes to the phones and running calls, if you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. When you're committed, you'll do whatever it takes. So I'm going to challenge all of you guys to commit to improving your phone service and your service call process. And I promise you, results will start showing up. So next up, we'll talk about getting the phone to ring and becoming more high profile. So ignore this little search right here, because I think it's pretty old. I'm not sure, because this is like the second PowerPoint presentation I've ever made. I don't know PowerPoint, but this is really recent here, that there's 5.6 billion searches per day on Google. That's why reviews are so crucial. That's where people are going to find your service. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I know about all of this stuff, and I've tried all of this. Some of it I'm not currently doing. Some of it I am. But Google Guaranteed or Google Home Services, Those are really cheap leads. They cost about $20 a phone call. You get a dashboard where you can listen to the phone call so you can improve once again. Um, if you're not if you haven't done this yet, and you can get on there, get this done. I used a company called Search Kings, and I also use Search Kings for my Google AdWords, and they've been great. So I'll show you some results that we've done from that they've gotten us, and that, you know, it's kind of a tag team. Like they try to get the phone to ring here, and then it's on us once the phone starts ringing. So Google reviews, however you need to get those. There's lots of services that will help you do that. You know, Podium, Customer Lobby, real-time reviews, Review Kangaroo. That's just to name a few. Really research them before you all of them, and find out what's best for you. I have my opinion on several of those because I've used several of those. But anyhow, YouTube channel, I know Pete has some insider information on that, but you want to post stuff on your YouTube channel. It makes you relevant when somebody needs something in your area. Pre-roll on YouTube, you know, every time I post a video on my YouTube channel, I monetize it. And that's just a button I click. Well, it's going to make sure to throw ads at the beginning of every video. And I get paid when you watch my video, you know, fractions of pennies. But it's still a little bit of extra money for me on my side stuff, doing, you know, training and coaching like this. But they're also, you know, once in a while I will watch the ad because it catches my attention. So you can, if you've got a really cool commercial or ad that your agency, your marketing agency, can pinpoint and target your market, that every time they go to YouTube, they're going to see something from you. Not every time, but it's very cheap. So a lot of impressions for very little money. I think it might not necessarily make your phone ring like that, like a lot of marketing, advertising, but it's just awareness, bringing people to awareness. So your website, if you don't have a website, you got to get a website. Hire a marketing company to do your website. Don't get one of these internet, you know, like Yodel is one of them. I would not do Yodel because I did Yodel. It was a mistake. You know, these people that just build 1 or 2 page websites that are just really generic, don't do that. Pay some extra money. A good website can cost you anywhere from, you know, you can get your foot in the door for $2,500. Totally worth it. And it'll be on a platform. You know, I recommend going on a platform that is universal, something like WordPress, to where when you want to upgrade your website in the future, because your website's an investment. So in the future, WordPress is where a lot of these really awesome websites are built on. So I would recommend doing WordPress, and I just learned that the hard way. Direct mail. So direct mail pieces, I recommend, some of you might be against this, but I think you ought to put a different trackable phone number on direct mail pieces. That way you know exactly how many phone calls you're getting from that particular mailer. But we've had really good luck in the past. I haven't done any. I did some at the beginning of the year, but I haven't done any this year because the other stuff's working for us at the moment. But the phone book, I can just tell you, you know, some areas the phone book is still relevant. In my area, I just don't believe it is. I haven't been in the phone book for 7 or 8 years, and it hasn't affected me. We've still grown. So not needed. Charity and donations. This is something I just learned, and I don't know, a year ago. But every winter, we try to do something nice for a family in need, like replace their furnace for free. Or one guy, he did not want a furnace, so because he was afraid he couldn't afford the bill. I mean, they were, you know, they were that in need, like they just didn't have the income. And so what he wanted was one of those infrared style electric heaters. So I bought one for him. You know, it was like $400 or $500. I just bought it for him and gave it to him, but I didn't tell anybody about it. I told everybody in our office, everybody who works here with us, you know, I told them about it, but I didn't share it like on our Facebook page and stuff. That is a mistake. What I've learned is that people like to do business with socially responsible companies. So when you do something socially responsible like that, by helping out a charity, by giving a donation, you need to let people know. It's just business, guys. It's not that you're bragging in any way that you did something nice for somebody. It's just showing people so they know where some of their money might go to if they do choose to spend money with you in the future. Of course, Facebook, Instagram. You might run a contest on. I've done contests on Facebook. I don't spend much time on Instagram. But Facebook, absolutely. When I've ran contests, I might boost a post, and I'll get a lot of visibility from that. Like it could be 10,000 people in my area that see this post. Does it make the phone ring directly? Maybe not, but it's one more time that they got to see me, because it's all about being seen with your business. Otherwise, you fall into obscurity. If people don't know you exist, you're obscure, and you're not going to get any business if nobody knows that you exist. We'll move on here to radio. I've done several radio ads in the past. Can't say that it makes the phone ring directly, but people definitely hear it. And once again, it's more of like a branding play. Billboards, branding. People aren't, our last billboard didn't even have our website, didn't have our phone number on it, because it was strictly just for branding. It's just recognizing the logo when you see it and knowing what we do. Here's something that you guys have heard me talk about on YouTube before, which is Home Advisor. I don't do Angie's List or Yelp, but Home Advisor, I did a YouTube video, and you saw just how crappy and crummy it can be. However, I'm going to show you the results. I went ahead and I renewed my membership, and I've learned two things. One, I've got to up my budget. So I upped my budget tremendously. My budget set at like 10,000. I don't ever spend 10,000 with them, but I set a high budget. That way I'm more likely to get numbers over the competition. Next thing I do is I only click, as far as the services that we offer, I only click repairs. I don't click replacements, because replacements can be $50 to $75 leads in my area. They may even be higher in your area, and you're gonna get some you're gonna get some crappy leads. You're gonna call people, and they're gonna say, "Yeah, I had somebody take care of that last week. I don't know what you're calling me for." Or you're gonna have somebody you can't get a hold of. Or in the example I gave on my YouTube channel, the email address that was given was not a real email address. So you take the good with the bad, but I recommend only doing repairs. Don't do replacement, and it's worked well for us. So pay-per-call, or that's what I've got listed here. Pay-per-call. There's another company that I used for quite a while called, what were they called? I'm having a brain fart at the moment. If I think of it, I'll tell you. But it's just basically they created a little micro site for us. It's like Google AdWords. That's basically what it is. It's a lot like what Search Kings does for me now. They just do it better. So Service Direct, that was a company that I used. And that did make the phone ring. Those phone calls were about $70 a piece. Home shows. We do the home show. This will be our 4th year of doing the home show. We have a lot of fun with it. We normally have a contest, a drawing to enter, or something like count how many marbles are in this jar or something, just to be able to collect people's information, and we follow up with those people after the home show. So here's my AdWords results for July. So it's actually a little bit more than that, because when I took this screenshot, it's actually my return on my ad spend is like 355%. And that is because I had 12 calls that I hadn't listened to yet. Now I went ahead and added up the 12 calls, and that was the total, $16,401. That's what we made, what we spent. And Search Kings, they combined my two spends here. When we spent just a little bit more, it was about 3,500, 3,600, maybe 3,600 we spent, but here's what we made, as far as gross revenue. So I was happy with that. Home advisor results. We wound up earning $19,472. Some of that was from the plumbing department. But here's what we spent last month: $2,047. Now I'll take that all day, every day. That's a pretty good return on my investment. So, but here's what I want to tell you guys. When it comes to like AdWords and building a website and doing all these things, designing a business card and designing your yard sign, don't try to do that yourselves. Find a professional that plays at the tasks that you find difficult or you don't have time for. And if you're a smaller company, you don't have time to do these things. You're running a business. You're taking care of customers, and that should be your primary concern. And that's why it's as long as you're charging what you need to charge, you're going to have the money to pay a professional to do these things for you. And it takes all pieces. It's not just, like I said, I don't want you to go out and spend a bunch of marketing money and get the phone to ringing, but you're not converting those calls, because it'll quickly turn upside down for you, where you're just not making a return on your investment. And that's why all those pieces that I wanted to cover before we got to this are so critical. It does take all pieces. It's not just a one thing and you're done. After you finish the call, we do invoice review. So you want to break down your service and installation invoices to find out if you're making money or not. That's just, we take the your invoice minus your cost of goods sold, which is your actual cost. That's going to equal your gross profit. Then you're going to take that gross profit and divide it by your invoice total, and that's going to give you your gross profit margin. So we break those down and see where we're at. From there, we remove our overhead from that number, and that tells us what our net profit was. We manage each invoice that's completed. Train, coach, and lead to improve results. So if you got one guy that's just not making, bringing, his average invoice is way down, well, that's probably going to take some training and coaching to get that up and figure out what's going on. And you may even have to do call by call management. So at the beginning, that's what we did. I had my guys call, and they would say, okay, well, here's what I got. The system's this old, and I had them take pictures, and they would send me the pictures, and I'd say, well, I don't see a drain line safety switch. Let's offer that. And I would help them build their option sheets to make sure that we're offering more, more services, more products that the customer might be interested in to protect their home. So, for a long time, we used Google Calendar, and everybody had it on their phones. And everybody, if you've ever been in a situation where that, everybody seems to worry about what somebody else is doing versus worrying about what they're doing. So we stopped that. We only dispatch one call at a time. Nobody can see the calendar that is running service calls, because it just creates issues. Also, always focus on constant, never-ending improvement in all of these areas. I'm by no means, an absolute specialist at any of this stuff. We need improvement on many of these things. When I was doing the call reviews and going through those, some of those were really painful to listen to, and so it prompted more training. It prompted more evaluation, so we can get better. That's the whole goal. Review your expenses. If when a slow time is coming up, and we all have an idea of wherever we live, what that time of year is, if we've been doing this for a number of years, before the slow time gets here, I'm going to review my expenses. I'm going to eliminate expenses that are not necessary. We should be paying attention to this year round. If you're really struggling with having any profit or any, bottom line profit, go through your expenses, find out what you don't need, and cut out everything you don't need. Evaluate every single thing that your company spends money on and try to get it reduced, whatever it may be. You got to be proactive in this, and labor is a huge thing. It's one of, some of the fixed expenses that we have, we cannot control. We can't control how much we pay in rent. We can't control how much our utilities are, our internet bill, but labor is one that we can control, and we have to watch that carefully. And then follow up. Follow up with any calls that you went on, any any check it out, like whatever follow up you have. In any of your option sheets, go back through and follow up with the customer. Even if you're not going through option sheets, follow up with the customer. All this stuff makes a difference. You might be able to make more money by following up, and I'm going to take that out of the actual presentation. So I don't have like an actual picture of our van here because this is going to be much cleaner looking. I should have thrown in a slide of that, but I actually went through this with Mike Agliero because I was part of CEO Warrior for a couple of years, and he helped me design my logo and helped me design the truck because we went to a logo tournament, and I knew it probably took me 6 months just to determine what my name was going to be. So I decided on Service HQ with the tagline of high quality service every time. And from there, we went to logo tournament, told them the name, and then I knew they're going to have you go through some criteria of what you would like it. And I knew I wanted a shield. For whatever reason, I liked the shield look. So went with the shield. And then we literally had hundreds of designs, and Mike helped me pick through these, and he's really good at this. So really appreciate his input on that. And then after that, we go to 99 Designs, and that's where they decide the truck wrap. Now, one thing that I've learned through this is when you do a truck wrap, I see some really awful truck wraps on Facebook. And the reason they're awful is because they're so jumbled and there's so much stuff going on in them that you can't read them. Like you got to really study the thing to know what's happening there. And the goal should be to be able to clearly read what services you offer driving 70 mile an hour down the highway. So always keep that in mind if you're don't have currently wrapped vehicles and you're going to wrap them in the future, you got to keep those things in mind. Excuse me. But excuse me. But what these two online things do is there's designers from around the world competing to win the design. So when you choose a winner, that person gets the money. Also, what I'll tell you, and Mike helping with this too, is colors matter. So Mike had us build this great big board where we put everything on the board, all the different contractors in our area, and we were searching for the colors that we didn't have very many of or none of. And these were the colors that we found. We didn't have the orange and the black. And so that's why we went with that color. It was really strategic, and I would have had no idea how to do this without Mike's help. So thank you, Mike Agliero. And then I just want to tell you this. I read in an article, and I had it hanging on my wall forever, but I took it down. I don't know what I did with it. But Terry Nicholson, he's one of my mentors too. He says, and he had written an article in one of the trade publications, and he had said something to the degree of, when people are making a large purchasing decision, they'll go with a bigger company. And the reason a lot of times they'll do that is just because they feel like they're more protected. So whether we're a big company or not, we need the appearance of being a big company. And here's what I can tell you when it comes to wrapping your vehicles. What you're going to start hearing is, "Oh, I see you guys everywhere." Well, the reason they see us everywhere is because that vehicle stands out. It's not that we have, 35 trucks on the road. We may have 8 trucks on the road, but when they see it, they notice it. And that's what we want, this appearance of a bigger contractor. Also, when it comes to uniforms, had no idea, but there is a lot of psychology that goes into uniforms. So I want you to search this stuff before you determine what colors you're going to go with on your uniform. Each color means something different. I know some of you guys are totally against these bigger companies, maybe the franchise companies going with white uniforms, but there's a reason behind that. And it comes down to this, is that when you go to the doctor's office and he walks in with his white coat and he has to give you some news, good or bad, you're going to listen, because he's the professional. and you want to know what's going on with your body if you're having trouble in one area or another. And so white sometimes, it says hygienic, pure simplicity, and clarity. Well, it goes deeper than that, but here's just a few ideas on different colors and what they mean. So royal blue here can mean calm, intelligence, trust, serenity, and reflection. Now, this doesn't mean that that's what people think when they see blue. It's subconscious. It's what our minds, without even thinking about it, that's the reaction that we may have to certain colors. And this is what they found. So there's a lot of psychology behind it. Pay attention to it. Different colors trigger subconscious and deeply rooted emotional responses in how people think, make choices, and feel throughout the day. The psychology of colors often spills over to additionally leave subtle impacts on business and consumer interactions as well. So make your colors count when you decide. Little story real quick is that I had like I said earlier briefly, my business was called McKay's Heating and Cooling for years and years. As we've grown, and the reality is someday, probably no time soon, but someday I will want to exit the business. My son doesn't want it. I don't want him to go through trying to build this sucker, or I don't want to ever have to step back in and try to fix something that gets broken if it was working when I left, if you know what I mean. And that happens a lot of times with the sell of companies. So when I depart and exit someday, it's going to be a clean departure, and it's going to help to not have my name tied to the business. And it's already helped. I don't like having my name tied to the business. I did, and it just made sense when I first opened. I just naturally called it McKay's Heating and Cooling, but we added a bunch of services since then. Now, I could have stayed at McKay's and said McKay's Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, Duct Cleaning, blah, blah, blah. But I chose to go ahead and choose the name, chose to go ahead and pick a new name. So almost wrapping it up here. I want to talk about protecting the number one asset in your company. That is you. Without you, things will probably not run the same, period. Without you, things may fail. Sometimes some of you may be in the way too much. So without you, your business may actually grow more. But regardless, you have to take care of yourself. So the amount of success that you're going to have, it comes from your way of thinking along with the actions you're taking. I think nobody would disagree with me on that statement. But here's what I know. Anytime I slow down in business, I have to really focus on this stuff. So I'm going to eliminate the ants. What are ants? They're automatic negative thoughts. They do not and will not serve you, period. It does nobody any good to go down that rabbit hole of negative thinking. So you get what you expect. So here's what I want to tell you. Even when things may look bleak and it may feel like anything's crumbling around you in any situation, this could be in the middle of the summer, and you get, one of your guys gets in a wreck and kills somebody, or something horrible happens. Doesn't matter what it is. We always have to focus on the good, that would be a horrible situation, but I know it's happened to people before in their companies. Is that one of their guys was in a wreck and killed somebody? It could even be, somebody who watches this someday or listens to it. It does happen, and it's very sad that it does happen. But I'm just saying, don't sit back and think, oh, this could happen to me. Oh, that could happen to me, and then that would happen to me. Like you're going to get what you expect. So expect good things to happen. If one customer fires you, expect it. If one customer fires you, it taught you a lesson, what not to do maybe in the future. If you like that customer, you didn't want to lose them. So you improved some things because of that. And that's happened to us. It's happened to us many times. Throughout 11 years, I've lost lots of customers. But I've also gained a bunch of them too. But I always expect better things to happen. So if we lost that customer, that's just because another one's on its way. And we just have to believe this. As silly as it may sound, this stuff is true and it works, guys. So, but you have what's called your reticular activating system. I know I heard Pete say this on a on another call. It's your reticular activating system. The RAS, it filters and prioritizes sensory information to let the mind be focused and alert. So if I'm focused, all I'm thinking about is what can go wrong in my business, I can promise you that's what I'm going to find. And none of you will doubt me on that. I know you all agree with me. So if I start focusing on positive things, like a new customer walking in and or finding that building that I've been looking for to move my business into, or whatever it may be, chances are I'm going to have a better, it's more likely to happen if I focus on that stuff. Just like if I focus on the negative stuff, it's more likely to happen. But that's why you have to make success a priority. You'll always find what you're looking for. So stay positive. And how do we do that? You feed your mind with the good stuff. Stop watching the news. Stop reading these horrible articles about all the shit that's wrong within our world. Like, just stay away from that stuff. There are so many good things that's going on in our world. And I choose to feed myself with good things, because what you think about, you bring about. And I don't want to think about all the negativity. I want to think about everything that I can do within my circle of influence to improve everybody within that circle's lives, and reprogram your mind. So the conscious mind is typically the goal setter. So you physically think, oh, I want to do $2 million this year in business, or I want my closing percentage to go up to 70%, from 65 to 70%. So my conscious mind is the goal setter, and my unconscious mind is the goal getter. So once I determine where I want to go, my unconscious mind, it's not out to get you, rather it's out to get for you whatever you want in life. So if you don't know how to communicate what you want properly, it's going to keep bringing you steaming bowls of blank out of the kitchen. I think you get what I'm talking about there. So Napoleon Hill said, if you guys have not read Think and Grow Rich, that book changed my life, changed my perspective on things, gave me hope when I otherwise didn't have hope a lot of times starting my business. But whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. If you believe that there's no good people out there, you're going to find no good people to help you in your business. If you believe all customers are cheap and don't appreciate quality and value, you'll get what you're looking for. If you believe that you can't turn your company around or get through a tough time, then chances are you will not be able to make it. If you believe that you're not good enough or smart enough, then guess what? You're going to find that. Your belief will always, always, always prove to you that you are right. So you got to choose your beliefs wisely. Another great book is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. So he says, be impeccable with your word. Our words create our reality. So the self-talk that we tell ourselves, we got to be very conscious of what we're saying. And we'll naturally act on what we tell ourselves, or we act on what we tell ourselves is real. So if I'm worried about something, my mind tends to believe it, and I may take actions on that, and those could be the completely wrong actions, strictly because of my negative talk, not being impeccable with my word. Don't take anything personally. The first agreement suggests that we avoid treating others hurtfully. I'm not sure, I must have messed up right there, but well, it's not. If first agreement suggests that we avoid treating others hurtfully. Yeah, so you would think that, anything that's happening within your organization, within your people, doesn't matter. Just don't take it personally. If it's a customer, don't take it personally. That's the main thing, because you're just going to get down on yourself if you guys do take it personally. And I get it. It's hard because you care. And that's, I honor you for caring. But we really have to remember these rules, these agreements. The third one is don't make assumptions. Stop assuming that they went with somebody else just because they didn't call you right back. Stop assuming that your coworker's talking crap on you as soon as he walks out the door. Stop assuming this stuff. Assuming that you know what other people are thinking or feeling about you is a limiting thought. So we just have to eliminate those from our thoughts, period. We don't assume anything. And then, of course, always do your best. That's all you can do. Art Williams, he says that all you can do is all you can do. And as long as you're doing all you can do, it's enough. So just do all you can do. And as long as you're doing that, it's enough. One obvious reason for doing your best is that we cannot achieve our goals by being lazy. So guys, what this all boils down to is taking care of yourself. So remember to breathe. We're shallow breathers. If you're watching this and you've watched this till the end, thank you so much for watching. Right now, just take a deep breath with me. In through your nose, out through your mouth. One more. So I did a bunch of shallow breathing giving this presentation. Feels good to actually fill my lungs with some oxygen and take a deep breath. And it helps relax me. Remember to take some time off. You need time off. You need time off to be able to get clarity around where you want to take the business and where you're going with the business. If you're in the trenches every day, you cannot see above the trench. You're down in there shoveling, but you can't see up above the trench because you just keep going deeper and deeper. You need to get out. You get yourself out of the trench and look around, see where you're at. And you got to do that once in a while. Have fun. I can tell you, I honestly forgot how to have fun for many years because I'm about success. I'm about this business. I want to win, and I want the people with me to win. And so I get so focused on that, sometimes I forget to have fun. So get out, at the end of this week, I want you to go out and have some fun. That's a challenge for you guys. Do something new, and introduce yourself to a new environment somewhere. Don't forget why you work so hard. We oftentimes the reason why we work is because it's for someone else. It's not because of us. Typically it's because it's for someone else, for our family, for our kids, whoever it is. Well, don't forget that. Don't ignore them while you're growing the business. I made that mistake for many years and it almost cost me my marriage. And if I lost my marriage, I love my wife so much that I wouldn't want to do this anymore. I'd probably just crawl in a hole and want to die and so there was times where I lost sight of that. And I don't want you guys to do that. Don't lose sight of why you work so hard. Spend time with the people you love and care about. Here's one that was really hard to accept, but I want to introduce this to you. You may have not heard this before, but you will never be caught up. It will not happen. It's impossible. You will never get caught up. There's so much to do within your business. There is so much that still needs to be done that forget about the idea of being caught up and just accept it. Welcome change in your business. You've always got to be changing the structure. Here's one thing when it comes to changing, and I know people won't change a lot of times because they're afraid that it won't be accepted by the people within the company. But here's the thing that I learned is that if you change it the same way every time, it's way more accepted. If you have a process for the way you change things and implement things, it will be much more accepted. So think about that before you begin changing stuff in your business. And I want you guys to know you have time to do it all. So stop rushing yourself. It doesn't have to be hard. Like the business doesn't have to be hard. You have the time to do it all. Also, never stop learning. Invest in your education. I've invested. It blows my mind when I really think of the money just over the last 3 years that I've invested in my education. It blows my mind. It's well over $100,000. And that may not be a huge number to some of you, but that's a huge number to me. And it blows my mind. And I'm so happy that I did it because I've learned so much. And I continue to learn. I continue to invest. So Next thing on the list is relax. So, I heard this guy that I follow say that, everything we do is hard. We work hard. We study hard. We work out hard. It's hard. Business is hard. Life is hard. Like everything we do is hard. Well, it doesn't have to be hard. That's just a story that we're telling ourselves. So just relax. When I think of this and you consciously start thinking about just relaxing, is just I hold tension in my shoulders all the time. So my shoulders are always up like this. Half of this presentation, my shoulders have been up like this. But as soon as I think of it, I just let them relax. I don't have to be tense. And when you start thinking about that and becoming aware of just the tension that you're holding in your body, if you're having a bunch of headaches, the headaches will go away. If you're having trouble sleeping, you'll be able to sleep better. Like it fixes a lot of things that you just would never imagine. So just relax. Stop letting your emotions take over and get so worked up over little petty shit. So we don't have to make it so hard. So why do we make it so hard? We just don't have to. Guys, if you want to learn more, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's HVAC Millionaire. Check out my website. I've got at www.hvacserviceready.com. If you look on there, you may have to scroll down to the bottom of the page and click to the next page. But I have a business membership, which is all business courses. I have a technician membership plan, which is primarily around the technician side. And then I have a combined, if you've got other people that you would like to be able to get in there and learn. And so what I've done for people in the past is if they have a crew, say you got 2 or 3 guys, and you want to give them some education, which I highly recommend. You've got to invest in your people. If you buy, if you just do even just the business membership plan, do the business plus the technician membership plan, and then if you reach out to me and just email me at HVACmillionaire@gmail.com, then I will sign up your people. I will help you through that. And that way they have some training to go through too, so they can increase their skills. Also, I'm the co-host of a podcast called HVAC Uncensored with Gil Cavey. Our podcasts are released every Monday. We are probably one of the fastest growing podcasts out there. So please check that out. Subscribe to us there. And you can always just reach out to me, like I said, at HVACmillionaire@gmail.com. And that's all I've got. So I appreciate the attention that you were able to stay on here. And I know I went over my hour, but I hope that I brought you a lot of valuable information that's going to help you in your company and your business. And guys, I just want to stress the fact you just got to take care of yourself. It's something we're so worried about our customers all the time. We're so worried about our employees all the time that we don't take good enough care of ourselves. So I want you to focus on that as the summer comes down to a halt. Take a week or two, and you need to relax and spend more time with your family. They're your why, so be sure to enjoy it now in the present. Don't always put stuff out into the future, because you don't know what the future will hold. I don't know what the future will hold for my business. I could go out of business tomorrow, so I could get slapped with a lawsuit or something. You never know. You truly never know. I could not wake up tomorrow morning. So it's important to be present now while we're here. And that includes with ourselves and with our family. So thank you so much. Hope this helped you in some way. You want to learn more, go to my website, HVACserviceready.com. And be happy to help if you have any questions or anything. So guys, whatever you do, wherever you go, I want you to just go make money. So we will see you later. Go make money.